We're on the Missouri River now in Mozambique. Of interest is the fact that we used to farm on the Missouri River in Shamva. So it comes out here into Mozambique and eventually, presumably, into the Zambezi.
And here we have another wild camping sunrise. Isn't it lovely? This is where we wild camped last night in Mozambique on our way down to Gorongosa, and found this cut line, and Rory thought this would be a great place for us to camp the night, is to get a bit more charged up.
We're just going past a magnificent Inselberg in Mozambique now. Beautiful rock coming out the ground here. Really outstanding. You almost really want to climb it, it's so beautiful. Fantastic granite rocks. There's the Musikazi River, beautiful with these fever trees on either side. Look at how pretty that looks. And I'm looking through the vehicle now. Again, trip. And on our right you can't see it now, but there's bushbuck, there's waterbuck and impala. This big tree, this big round tree. Ah, that's an albizia. Which albizia?
These are the famous lion houses. They were years ago, since 1940, they've often come onto the roof of these buildings. Looking around for lion and driving past this beautiful acacia forest. The acacias, and in fact all the trees in Gorongosa, I think are very beautiful.
We're about 30 meters away. Lazy guy, just stretching, Brendan. Look, his head lying
right back. His tummy needs to get a bit of wind on it. Oh, stretching.
Look at the size of those paws.
Yes.
8-9 inch paws.
We've stopped for an evening puza in Gorongosa. Look at that beautiful sunset starting to come out there. And that is Mount Gorongosa, which is unfortunately over the years been the source, been the center of much of the problem with Renamo. It was a Renamo stronghold. So that's why this park really got decimated during the war years. But oh, it's coming back. And its landscape is just absolutely exquisite. There's water buck all around us, and we've just seen the line behind us a few hundred meters back. In Gorongosa, they don't allow you to self-drive anymore, which we only became aware of once we got here, for a number of reasons. The elephant were a bit aggressive, but also just for political instability reasons. So you have to get a car, you have to book a drive. And we weren't too keen on that. But look, here we are. There's Rory and Makina, our guide, and we've stopped here for puza, and it's been a magnificent treat. Kind of forced upon us, but because it's our only option. But it's been superb. And here we are, having puza, and Rory and Makina are talking about the political situation, and now Rory's telling more about Livingstone. And one of the things we've absolutely loved about traveling through Africa is getting to know the people in every part of the country. So this has been very special. It's only us and Makina, and it's been a lovely, lovely experience.
What's called a Senegal lapwing on a night drive.
Oh, he's beautiful. I have
It
never
might
seen
be
him
lifer.
before.
It might be lifer for us.
At that sky as the sun is going down over the plain in Gorongosa. It is a remote park in a very poor country, difficult to get to, but absolutely beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
I think it is appropriate that as we leave Gorongosa National Park and head into Zimbabwe, that we spend a few moments just paying tribute to Mary Moffat Livingstone, the wife of David Livingstone, whose gravesite is only a couple of 100 kilometers to the north, just south of the Kaya Bridge that crosses the Zambezi River. It's a little place called Shupanga, and I think it's appropriate that we acknowledge this woman who was a godly woman and went through incredible hardship and suffering while her husband was doing missionary work across Africa. The year is 1862. Livingstone has now been out on his second missionary expedition, going up the Zambezi River since 1858, realizing that route into the interior was not going to work, and so on the way back they discovered the Shiri River coming from the north, from Lake Malawi. And they went up that river and discovered Lake Nyasa, which eventually changed its name to Lake Malawi. In 1862, his wife came out from England again and met him. He met her on the coast at Killimane here and spent 4 lovely weeks with her. And then unfortunately she contracted malaria and died in his arms. Dr. Kirk was also there, Dr. Livingstone, and they could not save her from death. She was a 42-year-old girl at the time she died. Brenda's going to speak about her character and our discovery of her grave at Chupanga.
Not much is often spoken about David Livingstone's wife, Mary. She was a very intelligent woman. She could speak a lot of dialects. She was a compassionate woman, and she handled all the vagaries and the difficulties, and I know it's to such a little degree of what she had to go through. She handled it incredibly well. Even the fact of losing a child who was 2 years old to illness. She worked with David, and she taught in the schools, and she developed good relationships with people, and she was loved. She was strong, but obviously very, very compassionate. And then of course she had to go back to England, understandably, because she had lost a child already. So she went there. David sent her there for safety for herself and for her children, for their education. Then she came back, went up to Chupanga with them, with David Livingstone, and died very shortly there, which was very sad. But we managed to find her grave. The mission is still there in Chupanga, and when we've seen it, we went up there, and she has a grave in the middle of the cemetery, but very humble. Her little headstone is a bit bigger than the others, but it's humble circumstances, very close to the river, close to the beautiful, very beautiful, huge fig tree that you often hear them talking about. They would have meetings. If you read David Livingstone's books, they'd have meetings under there, and the graveyard is near there. And on her gravestone, it is written, I'm doing it from memory, but going into the arms of Jesus with the humble hope of an everlasting resurrection. I can never do these things without, but what a tribute. And the other very poignant thing, if you go back to one of the other videos, I read her beautiful poem that she wrote for David when he came back to England, and in it she said, "Should I go before you and I get there first, when you come, be assured there will be 100,000 welcomes waiting for you."
And the irony of the story is that when we looked at her grave, we realized her husband's body is in Westminster Abbey, and there she lies. I don't want to say alone in Africa, but her grave is in this little humble place.
Yeah.
The comparison is obvious. Although Livingstone's heart is buried in Africa, his body's there, and her body's in Africa, while his is laid in state in ceremony in Westminster Abbey.
She was an absolutely excellent choice for him.
And yet went through incredibly hard times,
Oh,
and he was
she
away
did.
for numbers of years.
What a brave
And she
woman.
missed him, a very brave, courageous woman.